So guys, welcome to another inspirational story from another of our amazing clients, Helen Cregan Walsh. So Helen, I suppose as always, let's start with who you are, a little bit about you, because pretty much most people in this masterclass don't know you. So let's just share a little bit about who you are, what you do. Yeah.
Super. Okay, so I live in Ireland. I've been here since 1999. I'm from New York originally. I moved here via London, and right now I'm a financial advisor. For the last 6 years.
A really good one.
Yeah, thank you. Serial entrepreneur. I had started my first business back in 2003, if you can believe it. And that was a women's fitness business. And I remember stepping out into that business. I was like, oh my gosh, can I do this? And probably all the concerns that people might have about stepping into their own business. But it was very successful. We hit, so anyway, I have two boys. I'm a mom, 13 and 15, married to my lovely husband, Mick. That's why I moved this side of the pond. And then kind of on work side, I guess the other side of me, started the business in 2003. I kind of would always have had probably a kind of a go get it mentality, you know what I mean? And the business was very successful. We hit the recession in 2008, which proved very difficult, very challenging, and probably, as I reflect back, helped me grow quite considerably.
For sure.
So that's me, I guess. We can go into how I met you and
yes, exactly. That's my next question. So apart from seeing each other in this beautiful, gorgeous hotel, I hope we can visit again soon.
We will. We'll look forward to that. We have to.
Lockdown or no lockdown. So I suppose like what you used to be very successful already before you met me, and you were just like starting your second business. What were your results, or what actually made you decide to work with me to do the Thinking into Results mentorship process?
So what I realized, and I couldn't put my finger on it, and I also say I wouldn't really have had the words, right? Okay. I started up this next business. Well, when I moved out of the old business, which was really about closing it down, restructuring it. I had two babies in the middle of it. Like, it was very hectic. I wasn't sure where I wanted to go. And rather, a lot of, like, now, if that was me now, I'd be excited. Okay, it's an opportunity. But it was more like, oh my God, you know what I mean? What am I going to do? I'm 45. I've just wound down the business. I used to say in my head, like, what am I going to do now? I don't know, which it was crazy. It's crazy when I look back on it. But at that time, I really wasn't sure. And when I met you, so a friend introduced us. I was at a crossroads, personally, I'd say, as well, because for me, anytime that I am unsure or uncertain of where I am in my career, that's just who I am as a human being. It really reflected in my personal relationships, with the children, my husband. So I was really at a crossroads. I had attended the Pendulum Summit in Dublin, which was brilliant, met Tony Robbins. And part of my paradigms, my habits at the time, was not really speaking up about what I wanted. And I said to my husband, I really want to go spend that weekend and do this, unleash the power within and do this weekend. And will you do it with me? So anyway, I met you as I was heading off to do that. And you said, that's brilliant. That's fantastic. But what will you do after? Right. And that's always, I still hear that in the back of my head, because a lot of times, and I hadn't done a lot of personal development. I know there might be some people on this call who have, but I hadn't, because I was just like focused, just, you know what I mean?
You were already successful. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. And, but yes, exactly. But that crossroads was literally like fear. I couldn't name it, right? It was fear, it was anxiety. It wasn't sure I wanted to do. I felt so low because in my eyes, I had failed, right? I didn't look that it was a recession. I didn't look at it. So all of these things were going on. So And I said, that's a really good point. What am I going to do when I come back from this? You know what I mean? So I went away thinking about that. And then we met again, and I proceeded to do the thinking into results, then the lead the field, and I'm in your mastermind now.
Yeah.
So I really, what I acknowledged, and at that time was I was 6 or 7 months into my business. I was like a yo-yo, up and down and up and down, and not even up and down in my results, up and down in my head, which was leading to up and down with my results, right?
Yeah.
And I knew something needed to change, you know what I mean? And yet at the same time, and I know, as you said, a lot of people don't know me on this call, but the interesting thing is every time I sit down to talk to you, it's like a diamond. There's all these different facets, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, how can I actually invest in this with Eva when like I'm not even succeeding at this new business? Like, this is nuts, you know? But it just led to, and we're going to get into, but it just led to where I am now. You know what I mean? So really, I was at that point where I didn't know how. It was like the frog. I was kept jumping out of the waste basket, but I wasn't jumping up. Yeah. So I just said something has to change. You know what I mean, Eva? I was like, something has to change. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I said, I have to do something. So yeah.
Aren't you glad?
Yes, of course. I knew, actually, when I sat down with the first lesson with you, I knew I was glad. Because when I sit down to say what my goals were, I burst into tears. I was writing them down and I was like, I don't even know what my goals are, because I had been so entrenched. And in fairness to me, I had been so entrenched in trying to save the business, deal with the 20 employees, deal with, you know, so I had been so there that dreaming and what I wanted was so far beyond removed, from my day to day. So,
So I want to make so many comments about what you just said, the unconscious competent and emotional impact, but I'll do that in a minute. Let's share your biggest results first.
Okay, so
there's been so many.
I know. So, okay. I know, you know, everyone says if I invest, I want to see the return. I mean, I'm a financial advisor. So at the end of the day, that's what I speak to everybody about. So I, on a regular basis now, and not only just the finance part, it's about the time too, right? But I was going through all my figures this week because I was just looking at everything. And since I started with you, I have increased my income 10 times. That's it. You know what I mean? Let's be honest.
It's not 6 anymore, Helen. It's 10. I love it.
I mean, it's more. Look, I had the biggest, you know, the biggest month last month. You know what I mean? It was huge for me. But now I'm really in a 10. So, and then the time. So you know, one of the layers of it was, well, what do you really want, Helen? And what I really wanted was to earn a very good income, but I also didn't want to run around like a chicken with my head cut off. Because when I met you, I was, and this is a good way to be, and I've now, you know, said, well done, Helen. I was out. I mean, one thing about me is I'm persistent. You know, I could have been coming home at 10 o'clock at night. I could have been leaving to meet people at 9 o'clock. If you wanted to meet me, you know, I'd drop everything and run, which is not a bad thing, but I had no life. And my kids, like, you know, so, you know, my kids were growing up. I was running I mean, we were laughing the other day, Pierce and I in the car. He's like, Mom, you were always late. You know, I was always running, you know what I mean, somewhere. And it just wasn't working, right? But I just thought, well, sure, everybody. And I've said this to you before. I remember saying to colleagues, like, I'm not going to work evenings. And everybody was like, that's impossible. You can't do that. And you and I sat down your schedule and you said to me, what do you want your schedule to look like? And I said to you, okay, I'd like to work Monday to 5, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to 5 or 6. And then, Tuesday and Thursday to 5 till 5, a Wednesday half day, Friday half day. Okay, do it.
I thought that was so good.
But that's what you said. And I went, what is she, crazy? I was like, okay, that's fine. I can't do that. You're like, yes, you can. And like, and I remember like shaking in my boots, you know what I mean? Saying, I can't do that. And I did, you know what I mean? So so that's huge when you look back on it.
How much more rewarding your business is ever since you have that time for your loved ones.
Yeah, it's so much more rewarding. And it's also
and prosperous, right?
Prosperous, rewarding. And there was a point, very early on where I was a little resentful. I could have been a little bit angry. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's not a way to go about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then look, as a result, like anything, as a result of the financial part, you know what I mean? As a result of the time back, then it's like, well, what else can I do? You know what I mean? Yeah. And we plan some trips. We're planning some more. We were just talking yesterday when we can finally get on a plane. But one of the big ones was to take the boys to, because I all believe, I still, maybe work more than some moms and all the rest. So I still said to them, look, if I achieve this, right? So the $1 Million Round Table was my goal, right? Mm-hmm. And if you remember, you and I spoke about this, like that was something that was like my C goal, way out there. I wanted to get that. And, now it's, I don't want to say it's a given.
It's a habit.
Yeah, it happens.
It's the usual. Yeah,
it happens. So, but it was to go to California. So we took a really, and I remember the day the boys arrived in LA at the Standard Hotel, which is a fab hotel in the middle of downtown LA. And the boys arrived and their eyes were popping out of their heads, and they were just like, oh my God. Yeah. And that was a family trip, then we did, as you said, the villa. We can call it the mansion if we want, but I had a picture in my head what I wanted for this big birthday celebration, not 2020, 2019. And we did that. And that was, my parents came from the US. I had some of my friends, good, wonderful friends from Ireland, and family, and we had an amazing week. And it was exactly how I dreamt it. So all of the rewards and the not even just financial, but just allowing to dream and say, what do you really want? Was just coming.
There is one more. Which you are in the company?
Number 10. And actually, okay,
I love this.
Here, talk about.
Sorry, how many agents?
There's about 175. Yeah.
Number 10 out of 175. I love that.
You're making me smile because I still can't believe it. But yeah. And that's always been kind of in the back of my head. Now I'm going for, more, but that's, I'm looking for, okay, so you can't see it, but it literally on my vision board was the number 10 in my head.
I love comparing those little like snippets from the vision board and actual reality. I love this.
I'm sorry I didn't put 5 or 2. Like, hello. So,
next.
That's next. That's right there.
So, do you remember our conversations when it was just at the start when we were working together and your top performers had specific speed of how far they were achieving their goals, and you were like, I need to follow what they're doing. You were like scared to set a goal that you want, and now you're paving the way. You're showing other people what's possible, and in terms of how much time you can contribute and what's possible when you actually work with your mindset, right? How cool is this?
And it's really a pleasure to do that, because I always used to not hide, but like I would hesitate to do that because was it boasting? Was it, because I'm from an American culture. This is Europe, American.
You don't share your success.
Oh, well, there's loads of Americans on the call. They know exactly what I'm saying. But the point is that it can be culturally different. You know what I mean? And you can show up like a bull in a china shop, and So, but now what I see is like that's okay, because at the end of the day, it is going to inspire people. And I have applied, and it's something that's taken me a little while longer, probably because I have some stronger habits, which you call paradigms, but I have applied that to my health too. And I'm like, by the end of March, I'll be at where, a goal that was kind of when I was 21, you know what I mean?
Do you want to share how much you have lost and what period of time?
Oh, it's about 42, 43 pounds at this stage, which is about 3 stone
And it
about
was
22
about,
kilos or something like
hold
that.
on, tell me again, what was it in pounds? Now I'll tell you what that is in kilos.
It's 20 kilos.
20 kilos. And you said it took you only about 6 months, was it?
6 months, 9 months. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah. But again, stepping into who I see myself, ironically, I would actually think I looked at what I saw now, where I didn't. So it was like that China, that Russian doll, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take me out of the little, so I've applied a lot of that to here, you know what I mean? So
I
yeah.
love it. I love it so much. So Helen, I have a couple of
Okay.
questions for you. So let's go back to your starting point. You actually pointed out several important things. So, when you said you were successful and you didn't do too much personal development, what I shared, maybe you didn't feel like you needed too much personal development because frequently, like people actually typically come across when they have some either a goal that they want to stretch to or an obstacle that they want to get over. And you basically grew up as a successful person. You were sharing that from your family background, you were always encouraged to go for what you want and you can have it all. And so your image of yourself was that you can achieve anything you want. And so what I wanted to point out, because there might be some of our participants watching and resonating with this, Helen was what we call unconscious competent, unconsciously successful person. So what that means is typically high income earners either grow up in a culture where people surrounding us are doing that and they're installing that into our mind, or we learn. So I learned, Helen had that installed in her mind ever since she was growing up. The challenge with that is when someone is successful by habit and an emotional impact happens, which I think has happened to a lot of people in 2020, and you and I went through emotional impacts completely different than everybody else in the world. Because high emotional impact is like this punch, like what maybe someone in your family passes away, maybe you go through bad divorce or breakup, maybe you have financial loss of a business, loss of a job, and literally what happens, your confidence and your self-reliance crumbles. And then you're like confused, trying another business and on and off with your results, and you don't know what happened. And what actually happened, high emotional impact is one of the ways to change our subconscious mind. Unfortunately, it's in a split second, our confidence deteriorates and it goes very badly. And our confidence, our self-image is pretty much the source of every result in every area, including weight, which is actually quite interesting. And so what happened was you came to thinking into results and you became a conscious competent. So what that means, unconscious competence are people who are super successful. Frequently, they're business mentors. So let's say in financial advice, you could be telling people, this is what I do. This is how many people I meet. This is what I say. This is how I do a cold call, right? But unfortunately, if you train 10 agents, then one or two of them will make more money than the other 8. And the only difference is these one or two are unconscious competence and the others are not. Whereas all of them could be equally successful if you knew how to train them to consciously create habits of successful person. Can you share how you feel this impacted your life to be able to create your success by design rather than by habit? How do you feel that's changed things for you in the business and everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, no, but I think I just named everything, Eva. Like seriously, because um, because for me, when I learned to drive, I had a teacher. When I learned to do this, I had a teacher. So it was all well and good that I did it, but I didn't know how I did it, right? As you just said. So, like, I feel that as an unconscious competent, if I had known all that I know now and could have applied it,
yeah,
my goodness. So how is it meant to my business now? I mean, there's so many, right? So there's so many. But one of the things, especially over the last 12, 13 months, 14 months, is is the peace of mind. You know what I mean? It's the calmness of mind that put your put your um put your goal out there, put your intention, say what you want, and then your habits are there. You know what I mean? I mean, all the
Yeah.
things yourself is habits, the knowing, doing gap, all of that. But like once you do that, like we had incredible amount of change in, like you did, you took your business online. I took my business online. I used to meet everybody in their kitchen table or at their place of work. And it went like, so there was this huge learning curve. And if I hadn't the tools that I had, you know what I mean, to do that, I wouldn't have achieved anything. I had one of the best years ever, right?
During
And
COVID, during
during
COVID. Yeah.
COVID.
It's,
And we're all very quiet to say that because there are some people, that depending
yeah.
on your business, you're looking at creative ideas. So the biggest thing for me was the time and was the ideas, and there's still creative ideas flowing to do this. I've created a few streams of income, you know what I mean, and everything. So being able to do that, I think just it gives you a peace of mind. It gives you opportunity. It gives you excitement. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's. I always see it I always see it the other side. So
Yeah.
but I mean, the numbers say it for themselves, Eva,
Yeah.
and the results say it for themselves,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just helping, really adding value to my clients. I mean, last week, um, I was very like it's been busy. I'm very focused. I'm really, but just a referral out of nowhere, you know, and I accept them now and go brilliant and get going. So
I
so
love it.
much, Eva, so much.
And Helen, we had a question earlier about, most of us grow up or are surrounded by the mindset that you need a business mentor, and especially mentor in your industry, right? And you probably have used mentors in your industry already. How would you distinguish between what's the difference between taking on thinking into results and myself as a mentor versus taking a pure business mentor who shows you this is what I do? Can you share what your insight would be on that? What's the difference?
An analogy comes to mind. Okay. Which is let me see if I can explain this in my business. I'm just trying because let me see this analogy. Businessmen, they're different things. Okay. Here's my analogy. I might talk to someone and they say to me, Helen, I say you need some critical illness, you're self-employed. If you couldn't work in the morning, I couldn't work yesterday, because you got some major illness, I can sort out something for you that will replace your income tax-free so you don't need to work. Okay. And the client would say, but I have health insurance. Okay. And I'd say that's different because if you're in hospital and to pay your medical bills, health insurance will pay your medical bills. Critical illness is going to look after your income. So for me, and the analogy I'm getting at is the business mentor is going to look after, I don't know if you just want to say my medical. Now think of the positive side. Right now I've just talked about critical illness and medical bills. I want you to think of opportunity and abundance. Okay.
Yeah.
The business mentor is going to look after, my knowledge, what I need. And by the way, I do have business mentors. In fact, I've approached someone, anyway, yeah. So they're going to look after the knowledge, you know what I mean? Strategic stuff, how you do all that. And then you're going to have someone like I work with you that really looks at breaking the barriers, going faster, quicker, exploring things you wouldn't even have thought of, you know what I mean? But really like someone could say to you, it's just what we said before, right? Somebody could say to you, you have 7 people and you all tell them do this, 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 and this, and 2 of them do it. And really the 2 of them that do it is because they believe, their mindset's there, all the work that you and I have worked on, right? Whether everyone will have something different, and it's very bespoke as well. So when you're learning products or value of service, that's, you know, that's like been in a box. When you're looking at how you're going to grow from a working with you, you know, it's really about what do you need to work on? You know, is it self-image? Is it, you know, and working on that so that
Yeah.
you know, that will bring you to it. So it's a
Yeah.
very weird, I know that's a weird analogy I gave, but sometimes
critical illnesses.
and income protection. But what I was trying to say was it's like an apple and orange. It's, you know, it's a
Yes.
mixing metaphor. So like, because I've heard that many times. Oh, well, like I have someone who, you know, and does this for me in the industry, you know. Yes, but you know,
They won't teach you to think like them.
yes, exactly. Or
Yeah.
even think or explore or all of the stuff, you know, because you, as I said, you'll know all the products or the work, but you still could be you still could be treading water. And the reason you're treading water is
Yeah.
you don't have the lifeboat, you don't have the tools to
Yeah.
help you break out and
Yeah.
move forward.
Yeah, I always say 95% mindset, 5% strategy, although strategy is extremely important, but you can have the best business coach in the world. If they cannot teach you to shift paradigms, you won't be getting results at the income level that you're looking for. You know, unless you are programmed for that income, it just is like banging your head against the wall. And what Helen just shared here, once you program your mind for the results you want, it flows to you. Oh, here's a referral. Oh, here's this, right? It just comes so easily and effortlessly.
And
So
it's
Helen, you're a
it's also not exhausting, Eva. You know, sometimes going up and down like that is so tiring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, am I in? Am I out? You know, whereas if you're like, oh, if your mindset, so it is 95%, you know, but remember the 95% that are hanging out thinking your strategy or, you know, so
That's right.
completely.
That's right. Yeah, totally. I was saying, you know, the entire masterclass I was sharing that 97% of people are matching their lifestyle to match how much they can earn. And there's 3% of people who decide how they want to live in terms of their lifestyle and they design that income. And that's pretty much what thinking into results is teaching you. So Helen, you're a financial advisor. As an expert in finance, what would you say to people on the fence? You know, I understand some people may think that it is a bit of money. It is. You know, if it was cheap, they wouldn't do the work. And that's my philosophy. I don't do the work if it doesn't hurt me a little, right? I need to know that I invested and then I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to do the work and get results. But what would you say, like from financial advice, you know, we have investments, we could put money into property, we can put in money into, I don't know, Forex, whatever. How would you what would your advice be around putting your money into yourself and also breaking through that terror barrier about investing in yourself, regardless how much it costs and the value you get from the return on investment, I suppose?
There is no greater investment than investing in yourself, you know, and I'll repeat it again as so many times as I've said. I do a graph when I sit down and talk to clients, and I circle them and their income, and then I circle all the other material things they have around them. Could be your house, could be your car, could be your whatever physical things you have. And I ask them what's their biggest asset, and normally they circle their house.
Yeah.
No, the biggest asset is you. You know what I mean? So it is, and you know what, I kind of brush around these things, right, a little bit. But I remember when I started with you, it was a big investment. And I said to you, or I said to myself, how can I possibly invest this where I'm at the moment? You know, like it just seems. But when I thought about it, I said, like, if I keep doing the same thing, I'm going to be sitting here the same time next year, the same way, or I'm going to be worse. Like, right? We don't sit still. And I mean that. I was like, worse is that I stopped doing this because I'm not successful. And then where am I, what am I going to do? So the best investment you can do is in yourself. You know what I mean? And we find, my God, around Christmas with everything closed, how many queues do we see with kids running into these toy stores to get all this massive crap, excuse my French, that's never going to be used at all? Do you know what I mean? so from the best investment you can make on yourself, and it absolutely is scary, but you just made a very good point. If you invest in yourself, it's going to make you do the work. It's going to make you be accountable. It's going to make you say, I've just invested X. What do I need? I still do that. I go, okay, I've just invested X. What do I need to earn to pay that back this month? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that, that's what I do. So like there will never, and this is when I talk about losing weight, when I talk about investing yourself, whatever it is, there will never be a perfect time. There will never be a perfect time. And at the end of the day, once you start doing it, you will find it. You know what I mean? So and I even think back when I did this role, or when I look at, there's something else I just did recently, like, I was like, scary. Things are scary, but usually if you're not scared, if you're not feeling nervous, you're not growing.
True. That's true.
So
we've had a lot of people saying, "Oh, I never get afraid," and I'm like, okay, then you're probably standing still.
You're not really pushing yourself. So at the end of the day, you will find it if you want it. Think about anything you've done in your life. You know what I mean? If you really want it, you'll.
Yeah. Do I love this analogy. Another analogy is coming to my mind now. When Bob Proctor explains investment to, like, I may invest 18,000 for 6 months with him, or even 35,000 in his latest program. And the way he invests is this, if something is like expensive for you, or where do I get the money from? Just look around the house, how much stuff you have that you don't need. The dresses, the shoes, the bags, for men, maybe it's electronic equipment. And you didn't need it, but you wanted it. And you always find the money for what you want, no matter what. If you pass by and you see a beautiful dress on the display somewhere in a shop and you really love it, you're going to figure out the money to get it. And so this is how we, like, our psychology, when we put our mind to, I want this and I want this very much, you always get the money to do it. And there's always plenty of money. And I say, I took out a loan to do this. I would not be afraid to do that again and again and again and again. Why? Because all the wealthy people, they always make decisions on the basis of return on investment, not on the basis of where I am. But just like Helen said, if she didn't invest, she would still be struggling. She would still be like, with that high emotional impact, second guessing herself, even though she has always been meant to be successful. So Helen, thank you so much. If you guys are resonating with this, I mean, I don't know, the proof is in the pudding. Helen is a walking example. This works. You can hear from me all you want, but if you're seeing time and time again, client after client after client sharing what this does, it works. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not sitting on the couch and I'm not performing magic on you. I guide you with the tools, you're doing the work, and Helen knows that. But if you do the work seriously, the only time you don't get these fantastic results from this is when you don't do the work. But if you do the work, the process has been tested and tried for 60 years, you're going to get massive results. You're going to see your 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K, whatever it is you want. But you've got to make a decision today. So there's no better time than now. In fact, here in Dublin, we have another lockdown for another month and a half. Like, seriously, what else are you going to do? Why not creating, like, you can't fly, you can't go to a restaurant even, so what else? Like, I'm planning to explode my business. So what are you going to do for yourself? Why not locking yourself into something like this and create, either bring your business to a whole new level or create multiple streams of income, hang out with people like us? Like, what else are you going to do? Otherwise, one thing that I remember from what Bob said, if we don't saturate our mind with a profound goal that drives us, then our mind is very prone to go after problems. Right? So this is what happened to a lot of people in 2020, because they did not lock themselves into something like this, where they were like going after things and surrounding themselves by people that believe in them and mentor to help them. They were literally bombarded with negativity. And their health deteriorated, their mind deteriorated, their well-being deteriorated, and their money deteriorated. So I think it's crucial. And I think, you know, it costs you less money than you would pay for probably for college in US. It is a school of life, and it's not something you're going to learn from any university. So if this resonates with you guys, don't walk away from this. This is a life opportunity. If you have any questions, if there's anything you need worked out, private message your success advisors. Otherwise, just click and register. You will not go wrong with this. Seriously. Helen, you have some final words?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that, because I was like chomping at the bit to say something. Eva, I was just thinking, because over the period of time that we've been working together, I've recommended probably a good few people, right?
Yeah.
And genuinely, I've had not one person sorry that they've done it. In fact, every single person that has done the program has gone on to study more, has gone on to be a huge success, and it has absolutely flourished. And you know, I remember when I did the first testimony, you know, when we spoke the first time, I was so nervous to do it, because I said, you know, will I be judged? What are people going to say? How are they going to take me? And then I just stepped out of myself and I said, you know, like, someone recommended me, recommended me to talk to you, and it changed everything for me. So who am I to judge whether some people decide or not? I just tell them, this is how it's been for me, and if it's something for you, you should check it out. And that's what I mean, genuinely. Everyone that I've recommended and who's done the program has absolutely had great results and just loved it. So those are my final words.
Love it. Thank you so much, Helen. And listen, guys, seriously, give yourself a gift. It's like Christmas again at the end of January. Just do it for yourself, because nothing better is coming. Like, seriously, we have another lockdown for 6 weeks. Like, no, I mean,
imagine where you're going to be if you start now.
Yeah, like, look, yeah, I always ask myself, well, first of all, I ask myself, whenever I make decisions like this, should I invest, should I not invest? I ask myself this, where do I want to be 6 or 12 months from now? What would that person with those results do today? Would she click the button or would she procrastinate? And I've learned this. I was terrible at making decisions at the start, but now I always follow what I would do if I was there already, and also what's going to give me the best return on investment. So you can right now keep working things out on your own. It is a struggle, and you make mistakes and you waste time and money and you get stuck and you have no one to ask and you're surrounded by COVID and God knows what. Or you can allow us to help you. You can allow us to, not only you have a life transforming, a goal achieving system for the rest of your life, for the money, for the sales, for everything you want, including weight, but you also have a mentor to show you the quickest navigation system around all of this, so that you have the quickest results and you don't waste time and you don't waste money. I mean, for me, that is just priceless as an entrepreneur. And not only that, you hang out with people like me and Helen all the time. So, you know, guess what? Maybe your husband doesn't support you. Maybe your family doesn't support you in your big goals. We will support you. And you need, actually, you know, you achieve results that 5 people closest to you achieve. 5 people you hang out the most with. So are you hanging out with people going for 6, 7 figures or having it? If not, you really need that environment to flourish. And that's what we offer. So make a decision for yourself. This is game changer. And if you have any questions, we're here for you. We're here to support you. Helen, thank you so much. Another successful Saturday sharing your stories. I just love this.
Thank you for having me, Eva.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. And have a great day, guys.
Bye.